Today's episode sponsored by our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies located in Melbourne, Florida. Check out their website and their Facebook live auctions. And of course, PGX Comics, the Gen Xers place to get your comics graded and in case, shipping nationwide. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename New to Vero 2. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu Are You. Well, the other day I dropped my monthly pickup episode, and that's because I missed last month. And the same thing could be said with last month's PGX unboxing. But what you guys didn't see is that I was bombarded with a whole bunch of books that came back from PGX. Now, the turnaround time, surprisingly, on some of these books was less than 2 months. So, I want you to gain a perspective that in the past 3 or 4 years since I've been doing these unboxing videos, CGC for the 8th time has raised their price. You're paying more and you're getting less in the sense of customer service and basically being treated like a number, not like a valued member of this community and in this hobby. And I've been saying this for the past 3 or 4 years, why I personally switched from CGC to PGX and EGS, respectively. And I've been happy since I've done so. I just feel that this modern comic era, there's too much emphasis on 9.8s, CGC only, the monetary aspect of it. What's being lost is the hobby, the values that this hobby brings, the joy that this hobby brings. And, every time I go to the comic shop, I feel like the old Shabu Are You from, riding his bicycle to the 7-Eleven, picking up comics and a Slurpee, or going to the only LCS within several miles of my home. And that's the feeling I get when when I'm into this hobby, is that sense of, but going back in time. And I just think that that's why, that's what's being lost, what CGC is destroying. And more so the CGC fanboys. I mean, I get a lot of messages, and I'm polite. I say to each his own, and I'm still saying that. I'm not here to, badmouth CGC or whatever. But the truth is, they're a corporation, and me being a former auditor, I know what corporations are all about. I used to sift through pages upon pages of policy and procedures, and it was just like pulling teeth, But anyway, this segment, we always look at the books that came back and kind of reflect on the issue. Is it something you would be interested in pursuing, or just having the enjoyment of participating and checking out some cool books, listening to some cool stories all at the same time? And of course, I'd like to thank this episode's sponsor, PGX Grading Service. Now, their clean and press service is something that I strongly recommend every submission checks in the box to get, because I've seen some amazing stuff done by the PGX team. Danny over there is a first-class guy. That's right, you get to know the actual owner and stuff, whereas CGC, I don't know, I can't name 5 people in the CGC staff, but I know Danny. I've talked to Danny, and he's such a nice, wonderful guy. He's very quiet, and he doesn't pound his chest or whatever. And with all these CGC fanboys that kind of jump at him, he just takes the high road on everything. I admire Danny a lot for that. Sticking with what he knows and looking inward versus outward. I mean, it takes a lot of patience to do that. So again, if you're thinking about it, don't listen to those 2008 message boards, which I am suspicious that CGC kind of planted moles and kind of issued in some negative press. And also, that's where all this negative stuff about PGX is coming from, is these old message boards from the early 2000s. I mean, I am showing you and telling you what I see, and that is a wonderful product, great prices, fast turnaround times, and I couldn't be more happier making the switch. And I think and I hope that you guys do the same. Oh, so with that, let's take a look at the first book. Alrighty, so the first book we're going to take a look at is actually didn't come out, came out not too long ago. And what's interesting is, there's been a lot of stuff, and I mentioned that during my Pick-Ups video about the new Amazing Spider-Man arc, the new run with John Romita Jr. Doing all of the artwork. Now, this is Amazing Spider-Man number 14, and if you're an old school guy like me, this is actually Spider-Man issue 908. Now, what's been interesting is this is the Dark Web Saga, and we've been getting a whole bunch. In the last year, we've been getting some really cool female baddies in the Rogues Gallery or Spider-Man's enemies. We had the Goblin Queen that came out during the last arc, and now this one we're going to see Hallo Eve. That's right, Chasm's girlfriend takes on a new mantle. She puts on this crazy ass mask that transforms her into anything that she really wants to be. It's kind of like reminiscent of Clayface, but she's a lot better and prettier at it. So this is her first appearance as Hallo Eve. So this is a modern key issue. That's the one thing with all of these, especially with Spider-Man, there's always these introduction to these new characters, and it's like the old school spaghetti. Does it stick to the wall? That remains to be seen. But so far, like getting the Goblin Queen, we have Chasm here, who's Ben Reilly. He became a baddie, and then of course Hallo Eve. So PGX did a wonderful job. I'm a little disappointed in getting the 9.4, but I totally understand. Getting 9.8, a lot of people think that just because they pick it up from a comic shop that it is automatically a 9.8, and that's not the case. I mean, as you can see right here, but at the same time, that's not what this hobby is all about, getting 9.8s. Just, I'm happy to get a first appearance of what possibly could be a major character. I mean, they're banking on Hallo Eve. She has her own ongoing series currently, and I think they're going to do something around Halloween time. I mean, they have to, right? It's Hallo Eve. So it looks like Marvel is really getting behind this new character. So it remains to be seen whether this character sticks and how it'll be utilized maybe down the road in other titles. We know that Madam Web is coming out in her own movie for the Sony Spider-Verse. There's a lot of Spider-Man stuff happening that is outside of the Tom Holland Spider-Man. So it's really interesting to see Craven. I forgot about the Craven movie. So again, there's a lot of stuff going on with the Amazing Spider-Man, and this is definitely a good pickup to get in right now. I mean, you probably could still get it in the current run back issues. Just flip in the back and you'll probably see this issue there. But the first appearance of Hallo Eve is definitely a good pickup to put away in your personal collection. All right, the next book we're going to feature is actually interesting. I was thinking about doing a feature on this particular company. It's a small company. Basically, you have to buy issues on either Kickstarter or the Etsy store. And I've reached out to the owner several times, but they keep blowing me off. The guy isn't, and I think a couple times he wrote back to me. He wasn't really nice. He was a dick, kind of. But regardless, it's not the company, it's the artist. And this artist I followed on Instagram. I don't know if it's a boy or girl, but the artwork is absolutely breathtaking. So I remember seeing another YouTube channel and saying that this book was coming out. And I was shocked that you were able to order it on LCS, not through Etsy. So I had Famous Faces order me the virgin cover of this particular issue. And I'm talking about Valkyrie Saviors issue number 3. Look at this cover. Get the glare out of there. I mean, the artist's name is Shikari, I think, and I followed their Instagram, and the artwork is absolutely amazing. It looks like it's an oil-based painting, and I mean, of course, like it's just a beautifully done um, cover. So that's basically, I bought this for the cover alone, obviously. But it is one of those books that is absolutely breathtaking. The artwork itself is something to behold. And PGX did an amazing job with this book. I mean, we got a 9.4, but at the same time, it's the fact that how to go about getting this book. Now, these Valkyrie Savior series is basically, think of like Themyscira for Wonder Woman. Like everybody on Themyscira has different types of super abilities. So basically, it's like an Amazon world that is mixed with various different superhuman Amazons. So that's the premise of the story. But again, it's mostly the artwork that compelled me to send this in to PGX to get graded. I am still going to think about doing the look at Mt.Olympus Comics, which is the company behind this publication. We just looked at Bad Idea, and they're totally different. This guy is basically content on using Kickstarter and Etsy. The prices for his books are kind of expensive. Like there's different versions of the same color. Like, I mean, same cover. So there will be one where, like this, and then there's one where it's less and less and less. So tastefully, I think this is okay. And the prices for the ones that are, less, like really less, could be $60 an issue for a comic book, which I think is absolutely nuts. This one, the equivalent of it, if you go on Etsy, is $19 for an issue. And I picked up a few just to like gauge what's it all about. So I will do an episode on Mt.Olympus Comics, but let's just admire this cover and this amazing piece of art because it is breathtaking. And this artist, again, this is the back of the book. So nothing, the artwork inside is good. It's not done by the same person that does the cover. So the artwork is nice. It's colorful, vibrant. But I think the storyline, because I've read like issue 1, 2, and I think 3 at the time, I just felt like, it was at the same time. But the artwork is phenomenal. And this cover art is what made me want to send this in to get graded. So Valkyrie Saviors issue number 3. Alrighty, so the next book we're going to take a look at continues my dive into the whole horror genre. I spoke about it in several unboxings before. The Werewolf by Night MCU series kind of opened a gate that I really didn't cross into growing up as a kid, but boy am I making up for it right now. We got Adventures into Fear number 10, which is the first Man-Thing solo Man-Thing in this solo title, and I've been getting a lot of the Dracula, the Tomb of Dracula series, and there's a few really key issues when it comes to the Tomb of Dracula, and credit our good friend Chris Pierce from Comic Tropes. I mean, he basically talked about Gene Colan's artwork into the Tomb of Dracula and how it's so connected into that whole series, and I think he is head on and spot on with his assessment. I've been really enjoying it, and I opened, I think I've been doing like several issues that are the next best thing, and we're going to continue that with Tomb of Dracula issue number 2. Now everyone focuses on Tomb of Dracula number 1, as well as the first appearance of Blade, I think Tomb of Dracula number 10. But there's some good value, excellent value in those surrounding those 2 issues. So basically I've collected, we have the facsimile of issue number 1, but we also have these wonderful issue number 2, issue number 3, 4, just to add that to my personal collection. So this one I think really captures the 70s type of vibe. This book came out in 1972. Yes, it got a 6.5, but again, it's a book from 1972. And I think that really the clean and press, when I got this book, it was pretty rough. I always try to target those not so perfect, but approachable books. And again, PGX did a phenomenal job because this presents really well. It's a beautiful book that really captures the essence of that 70s Tomb of Dracula run. I think issue number 2 does a really good job. It's funny because it's not heralded as anything major, but at the same time, prices for these are spiking up. Again, the next best thing is an excellent option to go. And we look at the back, and it is really flawless. I think the clean and press service that PGX does is second to none. And I am really impressed with how this came out. It's a 6.5, but who gives a shit? It looks really nice, and I'm really excited about this one. So Tomb of Dracula, issue number 2. Okay, so the next book we're going to look at it kind of makes me upset with modern comics because it goes with the whole, what is the first appearance, what is the cameo appearance, all of that bullshit that modern comics kind of has. And this is also a good for all my regulars out there and anybody out there to get ahead of the curve a little bit. Now, we all know with the James Gunn Batman, there is some heavy inkling that he's going to utilize Damain Wayne, as I mentioned earlier, in his incarnation of Batman. The whole Robert Pattinson thing is going to be totally separate from what the main Batman is going to be in the James Gunn universe. So with that said, Batman 656 is the book that I'm specking on. This is the first full appearance of Damain Wayne. And what's important with this is that if you look at a lot of what these modern comic people, they're targeting the book one above this, 655, which I think is stupid because that is a cameo appearance. You see Damain Wayne's shadow, but you don't see his face or any reference to him really. So he's like in the background with Talia al Ghul. Now, for those that don't know, Damain Wayne is the son of Talia al Ghul and Bruce Wayne. So there's this animated series called Batman vs. Robin, where it really dives into the whole history. I highly recommend watching that. It is DC may not be as good as Marvel as far as like the videos, but their animated movies are freaking phenomenal. All the Batman movies, for the most part, are really good, and they're piggybacking off of the comic books. So this whole notion of 655 versus 656, let's go to Hulk 180 versus 181 as the big one. We have in Hulk 180, the last panel has the appearance of Wolverine. He gives his name out that I am Wolverine, I'm new, and yet everyone targets 181 for some reason. Now, I have the same thing with the Venom. You know, growing up, and a lot of you guys, because you're the same age as me, can revert to that feeling when Spiderman 299 came out, where this was the first appearance of Venom. But Modern Comics has 300 as the first appearance of Venom. And I talked about when we did the unboxing for this 299 newsstand that, let me take it out of the pocket. So with 299, we all acted that this was the first time a new bad guy was brought in the Spider-Man's list of villains. So we acted as this was Venom's first appearance. Now 298 had a cameo, but in the last panel, same thing with the Wolverine. The last panel, we see Venom introducing himself to the world. I am Venom, you know. And for me, this is the first appearance of Venom, but Modern Comics lists that 300 is Venom's first appearance. I'm going to say the same thing with Damain Wayne. This 656 is his first appearance, and this is a wonderful opportunity to pick up this somewhat modern, because this came out in 2006. So this is a good first appearance, and I said the same thing about Tim Drake. So add this to your list, and I think it would be highly advantageous for you. And PGX did a great job with this. Few tick marks, we got a 9.0, but at the same time, I think this came out absolutely amazing. The clean and press, look at the back. With the Laffy Taffy, the pinks and everything so vibrantly comes across. And that's what you're paying a little bit extra, is for that clean and press service. And it really brings out the luster and shine to your comic books. And they did a home run. This book presents and looks absolutely astonishing. And of course, PGX notes that's the first full appearance of Damian and a Talia al Ghul appearance. So this is a very important book to pick up. Okay, so the last book for this episode, we're giving a lot of love to DC in this episode. I'm going to look at the Batman Adventures Annual Number 1. Now, this is the third appearance of Harley Quinn. And, with Batman Adventures number 12's prices soaring through the roof, I always present the next best thing, with the next best option that I think is worthwhile to pick on. Because, like I said, there's always an X amount of demand supply for a said good. So sometimes going for that next best is where the most growth can occur in any type of, whether goods or commodity or service. So I always look at that. Again, I'm looking at it like a auditor analyst. And I think that this book not only has the third appearance of Harley Quinn, but it's actually the first appearance of Roxy Rocket. So remember that she also appeared as a new villain in the Batman Rose Gallery during the cartoon series. And it's just kind of amazing how Roxy and Harley went to two different ways. Now, that doesn't mean that she can't be utilized, because we all know that James Gunn is a big fan of the DC characters, and he likes to pick out seldom used characters in his movies. So you're picking up this book for two reasons. Number one being it is Harley Quinn's third appearance and is a better overall value, and with more potential for growth than her first appearance, which is has already gone through the roof. It's up there. It's still attainable somewhat, but at the same time, for those that are budget minded, it might not be. And also, it's the first appearance of Roxy Rocket. I think those are two things. And earlier I brought up Batman 570. Now, this is the second appearance of Harley Quinn in the DCU universe. Now, my regulars would know that EGS did a grading of this book for me with a 7.0. I since upgraded selling that and getting one that came out to a 9.8. So that was a really good upgrade. And you know, I sold that book for about $40. Nothing extravagant, but pass it on to the next person that'll enjoy it, while at the same time making a donation to our local non-kill shelter. If I do sell books, which is rare, but I do, I give a percentage to our local non-kill shelter, and then it goes right back into PGX or EGS. So it's just self-facilitating itself. So that's how it basically I do it, and I always sell like a duplicate or one just to pass off to somebody else. It's not, and at a good price. You know, I tried. That's why for the books I sell, I have the highest resale and highest rating. So I take pride in that. They delivering what people like at a good, fair price, and at the same time helping out some animals. So that's why when I do sell books, it goes to a good cause. And this upgrade is really good. This is another good, and we talked about during that unboxing. If you're a Harley Quinn fan, we know that the Joaquin Phoenix Joker #2 is going to feature Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, Margie Robert, whatever her name is, the blonde girl, that was Australian girl. She did a phenomenal job in Suicide Squad and, you know, Justice League. You know, all of those movies that she portrayed Harley Quinn, she really captured the essence of that character, and she did a phenomenal job. So if you're not able to get the first, that Batman Adventures #12, these are two excellent alternatives I've been saying for the long time. This one, 9.8, is really a good, I mean, I'm ecstatic that I got a 9. Not that I put merit into the numbers, but the fact is I was able to pass on the 7.0 and then upgrade it. So everybody wins in that scenario, and that's what makes me happy. But really, seriously, especially if you're a 90s kids, like my brother went nuts when he saw this cover, because that's what he grew up on. The Batman animated series, Ninja Turtles, all the millennials, I mean, Batman Adventures. Even my sister-in-law has the whole box set of the Batman cartoon. So it's kind of cool that even Gen Xers, millennials, they all have a special place for this cartoon series. And what better way to recapture that feeling than picking this issue up? Again, it is right now prices for a loose are relatively really cheap. And when you get the clean and press, which is, they did a phenomenal job. The maroon burgundy in the cover, Joker's white, Harley Quinn's white, nice. Everything is crisp and clear. PGX did a phenomenal job with this clean and press too. And I was a little concerned when I picked it up, because getting one tick mark out and just that overall clean, and they did a phenomenal job with this book. Had they not done the clean and press, you're looking at probably an 8.5, to be honest with you. But after their clean and press, it bumped it up to a 9.2. So it's a win-win. In the back, of course, you see that. So I hope that the 1 month delay for this month's PGX boxing was well worth it. We featured some cool books in this episode, and hey, the fun is still going on. We have much more books from PGX to look at. I'm going to try to do another unboxing towards the end of the month for PGX. And at the end of this week, we're going to have our first EGS unboxing we haven't done in the past few months. And boy, I'm excited about those books just as much. The custom labels for EGS came out absolutely amazing. Tony and the EGS team did a phenomenal job. And again, both of these companies are viable options for the fan base to utilize over corporate run CGC. I think it's important to support these smaller companies for the sake of competition. We want to stop a monopoly from occurring, because we already see that the prices for comics have gone down. When you have low prices, like free money, to spend on these commodities has shrunken, and the fact that you have one company controlling it, it's kind of foreshadowing a collapse that could occur. We don't want that. Even if you're not into grading or whatever, it's just healthy for comics as a whole, for us as a fan base to invest in these smaller companies. See for yourself. I get a lot of these people that hear, oh, I heard this about this company, and I heard that about this company. First thing I ask is, have you tried them? And, most of the time the answer is no. So how can you base an opinion on something that you haven't utilized yourself? Going by, you don't know where those opinions are coming from. And I just think it's silly for these CGC fanboys to, they're not getting a dime from CGC. They're giving them free advertisement. They're destroying their competition with slander, which is not good. That's defamation and slander. If EGS or PGX, had a legal division, they could sue these YouTubers, modern comic people, for that, because they have no basis for that. And it's easy to pull out, quality control. It's easy to find one, if you take a population sample of 10 books, and maybe 1 or 2 out of that batch of 10 has an issue with it. Per volume, and from what I see, CGC has more issues in quality control and the same amount than PGX and EGS. If I take 100 from all the 3 companies, you're going to see that CGC has more issues per 100 than PGX or EGS. Not saying that it doesn't happen. It's just, whether you're buying shoes from Nike or, a drill from Craftsman, the same thing occurs. It's just one of those things. That's why they have return policies and stuff like that, and customer service. And from those few instances that does occur, PGX and EGS are right there. Even their presidents chime in to say, how can we fix this to make you happy? I don't see that happening with CGC. So again, stay tuned. We have our next episode will be an EGX unboxing, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So chime in the comments below, hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode of Codename New to Vero 2. Dig it!